Okay, we're live.
Right. Hello. Today our guest is Aiza from Studio Coya, who helps creative and small businesses realize the potential of their branding, which can really help attract potential customers to you. A few facts about Aiza: she loves chicken wings, as do I, and oat milk, and has introduced me to word of the day, kerning, which is the spacing between individual letters or characters, creating texts that are visually pleasing. Hello, Aiza, and thank you to coming to chat with us on the podcast. We always start by asking our guests to introduce themselves. So, can you start by telling us a little about yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me here.
You're
So
welcome.
I'm Aiza, and I am a brand designer, and I help food and drink businesses look as good as they taste. I've been in the industry for about 14 years, and I have a passion for branding, and then I love all things food related. So I decided, why not put the two together and do branding for food businesses? So that's a little bit about me. What else can I say? I am originally from Hong Kong and then moved to the UK, and I've spent over half my life in the UK now, which is
Wow.
crazy to say.
Do you get back to Hong Kong ever?
Yes, I used to
You
go
do?
back a lot more often, but because of restrictions and all that, it's only
Yeah.
just starting to open up. So the last time I
Right,
was
of
back
course.
was 2018. So
Wow, it's a long
I
time.
stuffed my face as much as I could while I was there, and then it had to last me 4 years or 5 years now. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up to that anniversary, aren't we, soon? Anyway, let's not go there. Right, so branding it's a massive, massive topic. And me, like a lot of people, think branding is all about your color, your font, your logo, all the visuals. But I've read your blog and have learned it's so much more than that. So could you tell us or tell our listeners what branding actually is?
Yeah, sure. So I like to use an analogy. So I like to use a pie as an analogy. And I think so branding is the whole pie.
Hmm.
Um, it's basically all the elements that your customer or your audience would interact with, whether or not it's visual. So it includes brand strategy, your product and offer, and the kind of brand identity and deliverables. So outwardly how it looks. So that's
Hmm.
like kind of the sprinkle on top, I'd like to say. So the brand strategy is the crust, your product and offer is the filling, and then the
Right.
identity and how you deliver it is the kind of magic ingredients on top. That's how I like to
Amazing.
look at it. So those are the three kind of three ways or three ingredients of how I
Right.
break it down.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what are each ingredient? I mean, obviously
yeah,
we know the sprinkles on top. We
yes.
that's the bit that we all like, the pretty bit, that's the cute bit, the bit that we all like to do. But the rest, that sounds a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, the brand strategy part, I think, is a big part that people don't think about
Mm.
when we talk about branding. And I always like to start with brand strategy whenever I'm working with a brand. So the reason for that is the brand strategy, it's the foundation, right? If you think about the pie, if you don't have the crust, if you don't have the strategy in place, your pie would just,
Collapse.
leak
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
we've been there, yeah.
So that is the foundation, and that includes, understanding your brand story, like where did you come from? Why did you start your business? It includes understanding who your customers are, where your audience is. It includes positioning yourself in the market. So, like, where are your competitors, and how do you want to differentiate yourself from them? Um, and also, what's your personality? How do you want to come across to people? So making all those kind of foundational decisions um, in branding is so important um, before you move on to the other part, so your product and offer and your brand identity, because like the strategy basically informs everything else and informs all the decisions that you make for your brand. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Go on, Sammie. I can see your
Uh,
mouth open.
so if somebody comes to you, like say me, and I said to you, what should my brand identity be? Where would you start? What sort of things would you ask me?
So I would start with the strategy part. So I would say,
Yeah,
before we go into your brand identity, let's
yeah,
talk about your strategy. So
yeah,
I would ask you probably to do a little bit of homework to um, write down or tell me what your brand story is. Like, tell me everything about it.
yeah,
Why did you start it? What's the reasoning? How do you do it? Why did you decide to offer the product that you offer? So, like, why did you start cake making? What about it? Is it because you are gluten free and you want to make tasty gluten free cakes? Or is it,
hmm,
oh, I make like really elaborate cakes and I love doing that for my clients? Um, Understanding that would help me understand how you want to come across to people.
hmm,
Right.
So that's one thing that I definitely ask them.
hmm,
Um, and then I would ask who your customers are. So once you know what your story is, you kind of have an idea of who you're trying to sell your product to.
hmm,
Um, so you kind of then, yeah, I'd be like, where do you sell your product? What's the personality of your customer? Like, what do they like? What do they don't? What do they not
yeah,
like? Things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
As well. And then what other questions would I ask? I would ask who your competitors are. So who do you see as your competitors?
yeah.
Um, and
That's
what you
interesting.
think?
Do
Yeah,
you look at do you then look at the branding of other competitors and how
I
they
do.
present themselves?
Um,
Right. Okay.
yeah, so I would ask you, what do you like and not like about how they present themselves
Right. Okay.
visually and, in emails or on social media? What is it about them that makes them your competitor? Because
Yeah.
it's good to understand that so you can you know, take some of the good stuff, not
Yeah.
necessarily copy, but also you can then differentiate yourself because you don't want to be exactly like them because
Yeah.
then that becomes like, you just compete on price because you have the
Yeah.
same, you're targeting the same people, you look the same, there's nothing special
Yeah.
that sets you apart. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. And so because I hear a lot of people talk about brand voice.
Hmm.
That's another thing that kind of drops into my ear occasionally. I'm like, okay, it's, is that so? That's all part of this identity that you have. Is that what is a voice? What is a brand voice? How does
So
that work?
I would call it your brand personality.
Right.
So
Okay.
if your brand was a person, what's their personality? Are you fun? Are you whimsical? Are you, more reserved and calm? Those by figuring out your personality, you then know how to use your voice, right?
Right.
Like both visually and like in captions or like written
Mm.
form or talking, even like me talking to you right now. How do you come across to people?
Um,
And yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
I
no worries.
downloaded your donut workshop,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
and the way you've done it on there, but it just made so much sense to me. Like you had the type of donut, you had the flavor of your donut, and then you had what type of sprinkles are you, and you get the four choices. And I was like, yes, I'm this one. I'm raspberry. And by doing that, I could see where you were coming from to create your
Yeah.
vision of what I'm like as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically, so the free workbook that you can download from my website um is on the premise of building a donut. So you have the foundation, what's your core personality, and then you
Mm,
build on it. And you build your own personalized donut. So
mm,
it's a way of teasing out how you want to be as a brand.
yeah,
And by understanding your personality, you can then be like, okay, I'm going to use bright and fun colors, or I am going to use very traditional fonts. So again, that helps you make decisions of
Mm.
how you want to present your brand.
Mm. I wish when I had my website developed, they were very good and I can't knock them. But I wish they had come to me with those sort of questions,
Hmm.
because I feel they have taken how they felt more
Right.
than what I have described to them.
Hmm.
And I've just kind of gone, oh, okay, and accepted what they've said.
Yeah.
Whereas what you have said makes much more sense.
Yeah. I mean, like in your situation, even though you've had your website developed, it doesn't mean you can't make tweaks to
Mm,
kind of shift it slightly towards more of, what you
mm,
want your branding to be like. It
mm.
could be something as simple as the headline. You can inject more personality into that.
Yeah.
Um, Changing a color or having a slight tweak to,
Mm,
a muted color to a bolder color if you want to be more
mm.
vibrant. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your branding is wrong. Um, it
Yeah.
could just be tweaked to make it work
Y-
better for you.
yeah.
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 Does it frustrate you at all when people just think of branding as visuals? Does that, or not frustrate you, but
Um,
how do you, because I mean, I see a lot of cake makers and they go, I've got new branding, and it means they've got a new logo. That's what
yeah,
they've got, is a new logo.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know, I just sort of like, it's like a sticking point before you even get anywhere, isn't it? It's like that,
yes.
you know.
That's kind of the last step.
Yeah.
Um, so it it's a yeah. I mean, I'd say it kind of does.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's like, okay, yes, you have new branding, or basically you have a new identity, you have a new logo, but the logo is such a small piece of the
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah.
Um, it's about telling people how to look at it holistically. So, even if you have a logo developed, you can still do things to get your branding together and make it. It's about making it work for you, right?
Yeah.
It's about um, having branding that attracts the right people, because you don't want to attract people that, for example, they're only looking for bargains.
Yeah.
There's a type of brand for that, and if that's what you want, then there's a way of working that into your branding,
Yeah.
into the language that you use, into the visuals that you use, into the type of reviews that you get, even like testimonials that you put out into the world.
Yeah.
um, Lots to consider there. So it's again, even though some people might have that thought in the beginning, I can still hopefully talk to them about it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
describe why it is that strategy is such an important part, and the things they can do, um, even though they've already invested in brand identity, for example.
I love your use of the word holistic. That just, it just sums it up, isn't it? It's the whole. It's
Yeah.
everything your business is about is your brand. That's just such a concise way of putting it. All in one
Yeah,
word.
I mean, it's like deciding your colors of your sprinkles before you decide the flavor of your cake.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay,
believe
yeah,
in
it
in
looks
that as
pretty,
well.
but then,
Yeah.
if
Mm.
it's, I don't know,
Not
beetroot
tasty.
flavored, then it might not match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest challenges you actually see businesses, so like small businesses that have never thought about branding, never thought of it as a big whole? They've only thought of it as, I'm getting a new logo. What are the challenges you see when they're developing this whole identity?
I think understanding how to use it is a
Right.
big thing. So, they might have the logo and a color palette and some typography that a designer has given to them, but actually utilizing it and um, creating assets that would help them, I
Mm-hmm.
think, is uh, one of the biggest struggles. I mean, it even goes into, art direction for your photography, right? Like, without the strategic side, it's really hard to make decisions. It's like, okay, well, do I want it to look like this, or do I want it to
Yeah.
look like this? Like, I don't know. And once you made a decision about photography, you make another decision about your social media template, and you're like, oh no, like they don't match, like they
Yeah.
don't look like they're from the same brand. So that's I think the biggest challenge that I
Right.
see.
Yeah. I can say I did a course with Rachel Waring
Oh yeah,
last year, her
yeah,
art director course, and we're hopefully going to have her on the podcast as well. So fingers crossed. But I did her course, and everything just like drops into place. It's like it is the whole art direction of everything you're putting out there, isn't it?
yes,
It's
yeah,
to the way you word things in captions, to all your visuals, to even where you're putting
yeah,
yourself. Yeah,
yes, exactly. I actually am a guest speaker at her on her course, so
I know.
I talk about I talk about the pie in more
Yeah.
detail in there. But yes, so for sure, it's about everything
Yeah.
that you put out there. It's about understanding how it all works together.
Yeah.
I think that is the big challenge that people have because you're focused on your craft, right? You're
Yeah.
focused on what you're good at. If you're making cakes, you make delicious cakes. All the rest of it is, you know, things that you wouldn't even think of in the
Yeah.
first
Yeah,
place. So,
definitely.
so I think when I talk to people, it's all about just making them understand, like, oh, look at it holistically, think about it in this way. It'll help you make decisions and make things quicker for you
Yeah.
in the future, no matter
Yeah.
what you're doing. Even like deciding what type of cake to make could come from your brand strategy um, as well. So that's yeah. So that's what I talk about whenever I talk to people about branding. I
Do
try
you?
I try and just describe, what the
Uh-huh.
benefits are for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you ever experience clients that have really set firm ideas about what they want, but with your experience, they end up having something completely different?
Yeah, so I have people coming to me saying, "Oh, I need a logo." And then I would be like,
Yeah.
"Do you really need a logo?" So I would then go into, describing why the first part, the foundational part, is really important, having a brand strategy in place first.
Hmm.
And sometimes, you I do a brand strategy session with someone, and they know enough to take it and run with it themselves. Like they don't
Right.
even need me to design the identity for them because they have such an understanding of what their brand
Okay.
needs.
Yeah.
They might not need a new logo designed. It might just be, some tweaks that we've discovered in the strategy side to be like, okay, well, you can use what you have, just do these little things to bring everything together, to
Yeah.
bring what you have already and make it work for you.
Mm.
Because I don't feel like, when a brand comes to me and says, "Oh, I don't think it's working. I need a full rebrand." I don't think that's always the answer.
Okay.
So I would definitely always go into longer conversations with the client and to figure out what they actually need.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
So like to tease out of them the finer
Yes.
details.
Yeah. Exactly. To understand what they need to push our business forward because
Yeah.
everyone has different goals. And having new branding is not really a goal. It's a means. So why do you want the new branding? It's always thinking about the why. That's super important.
Mm.
And if your why aligns with getting a new identity done, then yes, let's go ahead
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
See, I completely changed my years ago. I used to make big, tall, white wedding cakes with lots and lots of flowers, and it was all elegant and swirly writing,
Yeah.
and the whole thing was all about opulence and all the rest of it. And then I kind of had this, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. And I completely changed everything about myself.
Yeah.
Well, not everything about myself, but my cakes became a little bit more interesting, a little bit more funky, lots of colour and all the rest of it.
Hmm.
And that was a real shift for me. And I had one lot of branding done,
Hmm.
and then I was like, no, that's still not there. That's still not far enough away from where I've been.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I think, a few color changes, and then I had a complete overhaul of it, and I can't tell you how refreshing I felt. And it was
Yeah.
everything from, I used to talk about, so all my captions were very corporate. I used to talk about we're doing this, and then I'm suddenly like, no, this is me, I'm doing it. And I just, it felt like my business all of a sudden, rather than previously it felt like I was trying to be something that I wasn't.
Yeah, it's about understanding that, right? Like, when you get the pie crust strategy in place, that's when you figure out, like, do I want to be corporate? Like, there's nothing wrong with having corporate clients, I don't know, big events and things like that where they need giant cakes. But there are people that make cakes specifically for that industry. So you would come across different. And then there are people like you who are like, I want to be an individual and I want to present myself as an individual. And here's my personality. And I think a lot of people are afraid to showcase their personality because they think.
I think I was at first. I think I was,
Yeah.
and then, I'd come from a corporate world, and I'd come from, it wasn't a massive business. I came from the arts. I came from the dance industry. And so it wasn't massive, but it was still like a large business to suddenly be me on my own. And it took me probably about 9 years in business before I went, you know what, I can be me. This is who I am. And as soon as I did, I felt so much better about my business.
Yeah, that's
so much
great.
better.
Yeah. It's about that alignment, right? Like, some people might not want to put them and themselves out there as themselves, like, fully. But it's like a sliding scale, you can do it to a certain extent and talk about certain things to a certain extent, to kind of pinpoint where you want to be. And again, it's like you said, you changed your product, you changed what you're making. So then, the pie filling itself has changed. Like, you need to update that to reflect, what you are doing. And then you can then figure out what you want for your identity and how you want to visually represent yourself. So it's like, those are the 3 steps.
The visual bit suddenly becomes the fun bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which I suppose is what sprinkles are. They're the fun bit.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where you add all your personality. That's where you showcase your personality, but you need to figure out what that is first before you can
do that.
Before you can choose what sprinkles to add.
So your process, you obviously do the brand strategy. You also do the visuals as well, don't you? So you create packages for people as well, don't you?
And that's my favorite bit, actually, translating the strategy into the identity. So it's like almost like bringing something to life. You're like, okay, well, we've done all the hard work and we've done all the deep work and understanding, what you need as a business, what you need as a brand. And then it's like, okay, now how do we present ourselves? What do we want to look like? And working with a client on that is really fun. It's mood boarding. I love mood boarding. Do mood boards for everything, but I think capturing what a brand should look like from what we discovered in the first place, like, that's just the best bit for me.
How long did that take you, roughly, from like meeting the client to the end product?
So it depends, because I've changed up the way I work a little bit. So I do the initial interview part. So that's like an hour and a half interview to understand, like, your business in depth, get into the nitty gritty. And then this is where I give the client some recommendations. And then that's where the kind of road splits. They can either go and execute it themselves, or they can work with me to move forward. And then I have my packages actually now are 1 to 3 day intensives, depending on what the recommendations are. So some clients might just be the 1 day and it's like, okay, let's get your foundational branding on point. Some clients might be, okay, we need to go way more in depth into the strategy and positioning, in your industry and understanding who your customers are. Like, we do that in the interview, but not as in depth sometimes because there's only an hour and a half. Sometimes we need like a half day workshop.
Mm.
And then we move on to the concept building and things like that, and other deliverables that they might need. So like social media templates or some examples of how they can look in certain ways, and art direction as well. So it's very bespoke to the client.
Yeah.
But that's like my two-step process. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
So 1 to 3 days now is the answer to your question.
But then how long does it take you to then do the visuals? Is it sometimes you just have it in your head exactly what you think should be done, or do you struggle sometimes with
Um,
people, or
I give myself time to mull it over.
yeah,
So between the interview and then if the client wants to continue to work with me, I typically give it 2 or 3 weeks just so that it all sinks in for me.
right, yeah,
So I don't necessarily talk to the client in that time, but like
yeah,
my brain's always churning, like, oh, okay, they talked
yeah,
about this, and like, I can have a look at what's out there and how I think they should look. And
Mm.
then the 1 to 3 days is me talking with the client and getting feedback and presenting mood boards and the concept. So I only do one concept because I feel like I have a very good understanding of
yeah,
what their business is. So then I'm going to present the best option for
yeah,
them. And then we can tweak from there.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Because quite often, if you have, say, you're presented with like 2 or 3 options, clients can. I mean, I know I have in the past. I'm like, well, they're all lovely. I don't know. Because they're all lovely.
Yeah.
I can't. It's like
Yeah.
when you go to the restaurant, you've got too much on the menu. You can't choose, can
Yeah.
you? If they tell you've got 3 things, you can make a decision much easier, can't you? So I
Yeah.
like
So I give them one thing and I tell them why. So
right.
it all brings it back to, I bring it back to the strategy. So it's like,
Yeah,
this is why I'm presenting this option to you because of these things that we discussed. And like, this is how the branding does that for you. Like, these are your
amazing.
goals, and
Yeah,
this concept fulfills those goals.
right.
Um, so that's why I do the strategy
Yeah,
bit in the beginning and make
yeah.
sure that that's right before I even touch the visuals. Yeah.
Excellent, amazing.
Yeah, and I've also like truncated it down to, I call them the 1 to 3 day intensives, because I feel like previously I was, it's like, oh, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks or like 6 to 8 weeks. And then
Right,
it, it kind of loses momentum with the
right.
Yeah.
client as well as myself. I'm like, okay, well, I've got
Yeah.
time. Or the client's like, oh, I've got time to feedback. Or like,
Yeah,
you know, sometimes it's like those gut decisions.
yeah,
They're the best thing to move forward with.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's like, I can get it done quickly for you so that you can get on with running your business, get on with selling your product, get on with doing what you need to do, and you have everything that you need in a short, intense amount of time.
and it stops
Instead
people
of
overthinking as well, I guess.
Yeah, instead of dragging it out
Yeah,
you know, and like questioning their decisions,
yeah,
um, because what I present comes back to the strategy. It's
yeah.
always backed by what they said in the first place. So I think that um, that's a good way to do it now for me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
found that that's really helped clients as well,
yeah,
so that they
Yeah.
can just move forward. I've got everything sorted. Let's go, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
yeah. I love that. I love it. Gut decisions. Always good.
Gut
Um,
decisions backed by some
Yeah,
strategy.
yeah, not knee-jerk decisions.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I'm a bit like you. I like to get the idea and then mull it over a little bit as well. Because some people are just like and they can throw out these ideas, but I get better ideas if I've
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, and the premise is I do the mulling over so that you don't have to. So I don't give you
yeah,
the time to mull it over. I do it so that it's
yeah,
done, and then
yeah,
you can make a gut decision on whether or not
yeah,
that aligns with what we've talked about in the first place.
I suppose
And
yeah,
that's a little bit like cake design, isn't it? It's like like when we design cakes, we like to give designs to customers rather than customers go, well, I want a bit of that and I want a bit of this and I want a bit of the other.
Yeah.
Because, as cake makers, we know what's possible and we know what's
Mm-hmm.
actually going to look good on that cake. Whereas, we've all had those customers that have come to us and gone, I want 20 different things. And you go, no.
Yeah, can you mash this cake with this cake and like make it still look great?
It's using that expertise. So, people use your expertise, knowing what you can do, and hopefully people use ours, but they don't always, but never mind. But
then they're not the right client for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you'd like to chat to us about today? Have we missed anything?
I don't think so. I think my advice would be, have a think about what's working for you and what's not working for you in your branding. Like, what are you struggling with? So is it the decision making in like, applying all your graphics to, anything outward facing? Is it, you're just not happy with your logo? Like, you just don't think it works at all with what you want to do? Like, have a think about that alignment. And that can inform whether or not you want to work with a designer or whether or not you need to make small changes to your branding. I think that's the key thing. Like, don't just be like, oh, I just need a rebrand. Have a think about why, and have a think about how you can improve what it's doing for you now before you make that knee-jerk decision of thinking I need a complete rehaul. But I think, Bronya, your situation was I needed a revamp because it was completely 180.
Yeah, I mean, over the 9 years, they'd had tweaks. We'd had tweaks over the 9 years, and it's like, not, what's that saying? Not throwing the baby out with the bathwater sort of thing. Is you still need to be recognisable as you, don't you? Whereas, mind you, I moved, so I was in a different area, so I was able to suddenly go, no, this is me, and I'm completely different. You don't need to know who I was before. But quite often, as cake makers, we're very local, aren't we? So people kind of still need to recognise it's you.
Yeah, and on that topic about, if you really are doing a 180 and need to completely revamp your branding, there are ways where you can tease your audience or launch so that they know something's coming, they know you're changing, and then it's not such a shock, or like, they completely didn't see that coming and just they don't recognize you at all. It's about nurturing that and making sure you communicate with them about this change so that they if they're the right audience still, they would continue to follow you or continue to interact with you. And if they don't want to, and you've told them about why you're changing, then it's their choice to be like, okay, well, that's not for me anymore, so I'm not gonna continue to connect, basically.
Right, so just for a bit of fun, if you could rebrand any brand, current or past, who would you like to brand?
I think I would probably rebrand. This is a difficult question because I'm like trying to think of all the food brands that I would love to rebrand. The thing is, I think I would probably just want to start a new brand.
Interesting.
like a new food brand.
Right. What type of food are we going for?
Oh, I'm thinking probably some sort of like, I was gonna say, as Sammie said, my favorite food is chicken wings. So like a wings market stall type brand. With like all the different sauces and like, really like seasonal things. Like, I would do that. Because I'm a serial like brand starter. Like, I have loads of little side businesses that are all to do with food. So I would probably do that, like a chicken wings business. But wouldn't start it myself because that's way too much work.
You need to find someone just as they're starting
Just so that I can
little
brand
street
it.
food
Yeah.
van going on.
Yeah.
Right, I'm your girl.
I'm almost tempted.
Yes, a proper like food truck.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have like a food truck
Yes.
chicken wings brand, so you can drive it around anywhere.
Yeah.
That'd be
Oh,
fun.
Living the dream.
Yeah. Definitely.
But would you go off chicken wings if you were? No. Anyway.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm not going to run it, so I'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'll just
yeah.
go and sample, or maybe like, you know, do
Yeah.
the recipe development, things like that.
And to be honest, 13 years in, I still like cake. So
Well, there you go. Yeah. There's loads to do with cake and loads to do with chicken wings for sure. So yeah, it'll never get old.
No,
Yeah.
no, definitely not.
Oh, sorry, it's me next.
Ever the pros.
Yes, sorry. Lastly, so our customers can find you. What are your socials and website, etc.? And how can they work with you if they want to?
So my everything is under Studio Coya. So studio and then Coya. My website studiocoya.com. Instagram is at Studio Coya. And as you said earlier, you downloaded my free brand personality workbook. So definitely, you know, download that. It's free. It's fun. I try to make it food related, just to figure out your brand personality. So that's the first port of call, I think. And then if you want to chat more and work with me more, the next step would be to book a brand pairing call with me to see if we go together, like wine and cheese or milk and cookies, whatever you fancy. We'll just have a chat, like informal
chicken wings
chat.
and coleslaw.
Yes. Chicken. I should just use that from now on instead of wine and cheese. Yeah, so that's when you can book a chat with me and then see how we can work together, and I talk you through, you know, my process and how it works and whether or not we'd be a good fit. Yeah.
Amazing. You've also got some really good blog posts as well.
Yes.
I read through them. Really
Thank
informative. Because and it's a wake up call. It's not just logos, and that's how I learned.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely pop on there. That's on my website as well, in the blogs section, I think. And also you can once you download the brand personality workbook, you'll be on my email list as well, and that I send monthly emails with kind of branding tips and things that you can do in your business to improve your branding.
Newsletters are like the new blog posts, aren't they?
I like a newsletter because then it's sent to me and I don't have to go and look for it.
And I save them all up in my inbox. I've got like a little file.
Oh,
in my
that's
inbox
amazing!
On a Sunday, I sit and read all the newsletters. I do love a newsletter.
See, I read them the minute they come in the box. Otherwise, I don't see them. Yeah,
that's great. Like different people have different ways of doing things. So yeah, and I only sent monthly ones, not because I don't want to talk about branding more, but that's like my cadence that I feel works well for me. And you can probably implement stuff as well once you read it and you're like, okay, I can look at that quickly. They're not like really long or anything, so hopefully that'll help. And you can read the archive. There's a link to like everything that I've sent before too. So you can go through that if you wanted to.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been lovely chat. And at last, we have covered branding on the podcast. Yes. It's only taken us like 75 odd episodes, but we got there in the end. So thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
Got it off now. Well,
it's just the two of us now.
Yeah.
How do we explain that on the video? That one person just disappears?
Yeah. Bing. Just the two of us. And Aiza was very nice from Studio Coya.
And right, so if you don't already know, we are recording the video of this now, so you can watch this on YouTube if you want. And if you want to go and look at her plants, they were really nice.
Yes, they were, weren't they? I did like those.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
backdrop for. That's
Yeah.
obviously part of her brand.
Yeah, I like it. Her website's really good as well.
Yeah,
I did like it. And everything she was saying.
just makes sense.
Yeah.
Just makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there have been times in my business when I think we changed our
Sorry.
keeping you up, love. We changed our branding. I don't know. I can't remember when it was, but I'd started off making cute cupcakes. That was kind of how I started the business. It was making all cute cupcakes.
Yeah.
And then we were still making cupcakes, but we were trying more to go into wedding cakes and like the elegant side. And the cute cupcake thing just was completely inappropriate, wasn't it? Completely inappropriate.
Yeah, because I was thinking ahead to when you changed it to the blue and so it said Bronya.
Yes, yeah, that was kind of my interim one, and then I went, no, because I wasn't brave enough. I really wasn't brave enough at that point because we had Bronya and Sammie, didn't we? And I wasn't brave enough, and then I just scrapped the whole lot and started again, and it felt fresh and it felt nice, and I think when you've got the right branding, it makes you confident to talk.
Yeah, it's like having matching knickers and bra on. Don't you think?
Yes.
If you've got matching knickers and bra, you rock.
If your foundation is matching, it's you. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you do. You just feel confident. You feel confident with everything you put out into the world, and it all kind of it makes you not second guess and not question what you're doing.
Yeah.
It just goes out, and you know it's going out.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I'm so pleased that after, I don't know what episode this is, 70 something, we've finally spoken about branding. Sorry for making you wait for so long.
Yeah. I can't believe we haven't done it before this. Sorry, I keep yawning. It's red velvet cake.
She had a piece of red velvet cake earlier. Right. Okay. Are we ready?
Are we ready? Yes, we're ready. But you're going first this week, though.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's your turn.
Okay.
But product of the week, product of the week, product of the week. Psh, 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 psh. There you go.
Right. So my product's very hastily thought of.
Yes.
Actually. Now after this, I'm going downstairs and I'm going to do some baking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do some baking. I'm going to bake some Viennese fingers or some Viennese wells. I can't decide.
Oh, which. Yummy.
Yeah. And then I thought, oh no, I have no butter, because you do need real butter.
Yes,
to bake a Viennese well, to bake a biscuit.
Yeah.
It's fine. I have some flora plant.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I just love this product. I love it. I've used it so much.
It's it's relatively new, isn't it? It's probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
And before then, if you wanted to do a dairy-free or a vegan or a plant-based like buttercream or biscuit, all you had was like a spread. And there's just too much water in a spread. There's there's just too much liquid.
And you'd have to add copious amounts of icing sugar, and then it just really tasted.
It just didn't work.
Clacky.
Yeah, it didn't work. So Flora plant-based block butter. You get it in salted and unsalted, and at the moment it's cheaper than real butter.
Yeah,
which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
I guess because it's not depending on the dairy industry.
Yeah.
I assume. And it's, I think, 75% fat, which makes it a good block butter, because a lot of block butters are between 75 and 85% fat, so it's perfect for a block butter. So I'm going to put it in Viennese fingers. I will let you know how that goes. But buttercream, it's just perfect in buttercream. It just acts like butter.
Yeah.
And it's dairy free.
Yeah.
And vegan, which is
I've had quite a lot of requests recently for dairy-free cakes, but use eggs. So
okay.
So it's just made my life so much easier.
Yeah. And it used to be that you used to have to go hunting for the one that said suitable for baking on the side of the packet, and you could never get that one.
No. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so available in any supermarket.
Mm-hmm. And when they have Veganary January, is that how you say it? Oh, anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's when you get it on special offers. A lot of the time.
I know, and I think it's freeze. I think you can freeze it as well.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
yes, you can.
So I think it's an excellent product if you are getting more and more dairy free or free from requests.
And you know, like sometimes you might run out of stuff.
Like I did when I thought I'm going to go make some Viennese rolls.
Yeah. I occasionally run out of butter, or you've got one more cake to finish. You need 3 blocks of butter, and you've only got 2.
Yeah.
I will use a block of that because I try and keep it in my fridge or freezer now, ready for
the eventuality.
vegan
for the eventuality of when you've taken an order and then you go, oh, I forgot that was dairy free.
Yeah. Vegan, even though you've written it on the paperwork in
you still haven't taken note when you did your shopping that week. It's, and say I've got a packet in the fridge and it's just out on the counter right now, getting to room temperature so I can make some dairy free Viennese rolls.
I look forward to seeing those.
Oh damn, they better be good then, aren't
they? They had better be. Right, do you want my product then?
Yes, because you've told me it's a good one.
Yes, I hope so. I think it is.
Piece of paper at me.
Yeah, I prepared.
Go on
right.
then.
So, it's an FMM product.
Mm-hmm. Don't get much of them, Bennett.
No,
I guess they're still going. Anyway,
yeah. And that it's totally tropical leaves cutter set. And you get 4 in the pack, and you get like I tried looking up the names of all the leaves.
Yeah, go on then.
So you got it didn't tell you.
Oh.
You got tropical. You got tropical. You got tropical, and you got tropical.
Are they like rubber plant leaves?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Nice.
And like the bamboo looking one.
Yeah,
and there's a long
pointy one.
Yeah, and there's a long one as well. So I purchased 3 or 4 different cutters over the years, and some of them are crap for the tropical looking leaves.
Yeah.
But this is my favourite. This is what I use all the time.
Right.
It's you can use it on cupcakes. It's really popular at the moment to have cakes with like a jungle theme. You get a first birthday, and you can do it in like lovely soft sage greens and things like that, dusted with greens. I did wedding cupcakes with them on a while ago.
I wish I'd known you had them, because I did a tropical cake last year and I hand cut them.
Yeah, because you can. I have done that before. You can print out a template and spend laborious.
I'm never likely to get another one of these, even though they're now quite popular.
Yeah.
So I hand cut them. If I'd have known you had a flipping oh well.
Yeah. So
next time
you'll know. So
they are so like the jungle themes, like you say, for the little first birthdays or for young birthdays, they are really popular with like a little
giraffe,
animal.
or a lion on it.
But even dinosaur theme cakes, good for, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've used it for dinosaur cakes. So yeah, I reckon this was definitely worth the money. Now I can't remember how much I paid for it, but when I was looking up the prices, I was a bit shocked. So they range from £3.19, and I think that was on cake stuff for the set, up to £9.62. I thought, gosh, that's a bit of for
like
exactly
300% more.
Yeah, same product, same packaging, just very different pricing. So shop around when you're going to buy it.
There's companies like FMM, PME, all these companies. They're old. When I say old, they're well-established companies.
Yeah,
they know how to make a product.
Yeah, definitely.
It's they don't think of them as old-fashioned. They know how to make a good cutter and a good tool.
And they go through the dishwasher.
Win-win.
Yeah. What more could you want?
Do you know, I'd never think about putting cutters through a dishwasher.
Yeah, because so you put them away and you get them out and you think, oh, I didn't wash it, and you're doing something pink and it's got black stuck in the little things.
And then
Yeah.
if you hand wash it, you never quite get rid of that.
No.
Do you?
So I don't like putting my metal ones through.
Do you not?
I will hand wash those. Right. Yeah. But anything plastic, stick it.
While we're talking about dishwashing, I know this is completely off topic from Product of the Week. Cake tins, do you hand wash them or do you put them in the dishwasher?
I tend to hand wash them.
Okay.
But if there is space in my always full dishwasher, I will stick them in. So
you've got the silver anodized PME ones, haven't you?
Yes.
Has the outside of them gone funny when you dishwash them?
It's changed colour.
Right. Is it changed texture?
No.
Okay.
What dishwasher tablets did you use? Acid?
No, it's just that I've seen someone that's using, acid. Yeah, I melt everything. No, I've seen someone use. She's obviously put her tins through the dishwasher, and you see her, and they've gone like really funny. And it's like, how sometimes you get like a funny texture, and it sets your tooth on edge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I've had cake tins in the past, but I've put through the dishwasher, and it's stripped something off. It's stripped a coating off. Maybe it was maybe I was using. Maybe I was just using shit dishwasher tablets.
Well, the next podcast person that we're going to be speaking to.
Yes.
I did notice something on their website about if you're going to replace your tins, you should get a certain type of tin. So I wonder if it's got something to do with that.
Oh, maybe I've washed chemicals down the sink.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. I'm just interested. Sorry, I'm completely off topic from your lovely FMM cutters. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you know what? I didn't know that FMM was FMM. I always thought it was FMN.
I wonder what it stands for. Have we looked up what FMM stands for?
No. Females make money.
I like that one. That sounds good. FMM, Sugarcraft. I bet I'm not going to find out what it means. No, of course I'm not. They're just FMM. If anyone knows what FMM stands for, like PME, what does PME stand for?
I don't know.
No. Let us know. If anyone knows, let us know. It would be quite interesting.
Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. What does FMM mean and PME?
Oh, nice note at the end.
Ching.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Off you go, dog. Oh, right. I think we're done. On that rather tuneful note.
Yes.
I think we're there today.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and review.
Yeah, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Is that it? Is that all of them?
Don't know, but yes.
Yeah. And if you want to join our newsletter, please go and do that. Click on the website or on the link in Instagram, and there'll be a sign up to our newsletter.
Yeah.
And you can sign up to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.